Am I good to start now or?
Hey, everybody, welcome to Modern Day Debate. Tonight's topic is Mormonism true? We've got Aron Ra on the atheist side, and Kyle Adams going to start us off with the Mormon side. Kyle, the floor is all yours.
Hey, it's good to be here. It's good to meet you, Aron Ra. And when it comes, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And when it comes to knowing if this church is true, well, it really depends on what that church is. And we claim that this is the church that Jesus built back in his days, but it's been restored into our days. It's the exact same church. And we can know that this is the exact same church by examining its structure. And so I'm going to point you to the just the very foundation itself. I'll wait for you to come back here for a moment here. Aaron? Okay, well, I was kind of talking to him. I don't want to be talking just, I'm not just talking to the audience here. So I've got a scripture here that kind of helps us see the foundation of Jesus's church in his day. And I'll describe exactly how we have the exact same foundation that he established. And so I'll first point us to Matthew chapter 16. It says, when Jesus came into the coasts of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremias, or one of the prophets. He saith unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So that's a really important scripture because it establishes the foundation of the church. He's not pointing to people and what other people say. It's all about that revelation. Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah. Okay, for flesh and blood hath not manifested it unto thee, but thy Father which is in heaven. So as missionaries, when we go out and teach a lesson, our primary objective is to help you establish that same foundation that that Jesus was able to establish with Peter here. It's our ambition, like every missionary's ambition, to be able to look you square in the eye and say, blessed art thou, Aron Ra. Blessed art thou, Aron Ra, for flesh and blood hath not manifested it unto thee, but thy Father which is in heaven. That is the foundation of revelation that we all seek to help you establish. We want our Heavenly Father to manifest it unto you, and that is the greatest proof that we could ever give you. Like, bar none. So with that foundation, we can kind of see that repeated all throughout the Bible. Another really big place that we see that established is in the parable of the 10 virgins. Jesus likens the kingdom of heaven unto 10 virgins, which took their lamp and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And there are 5 that are wise who bring their own oil, and then there are 5 that are foolish. And they don't have enough. They don't bring their own oil. And it's a really powerful parable here, because when the foolish say, give us of your oil, for our lamps have gone out, the wise answer saying, no, lest there not be enough for us and you, but go ye rather and sell them to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And then the the foolish come and say, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he said, verily I say unto you, I know you not. That I know you not, I think, is one of the most powerful parts in this parable, is for not letting the foolish virgins in, because this oil represents a relationship. That's why he says, I know you not. And so we want to help people develop a relationship with their Savior and develop a relationship with our Heavenly Father. And when we have that same foundation today of a relationship, that's humongous evidence that this is the exact same church that Jesus built. Another scripture here is Matthew chapter 7. It says, therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. So here we see that kind of same terminology. And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. Okay, this rock is that sure foundation. You've got really good footing on it. And it says, and everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built not his house upon a rock. Which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. And it came to pass, when Jesus had ended these sayings, that the people were astonished at his doctrine. So it's all about having our own personal experiences. We can't just rely on someone else's experiences. It's all about us, what we witness for ourselves. And a lot of that is our own miracles, the manifestations of our Heavenly Father. And so when missionaries go out and teach people, it's all about helping them gain their own experiences. And we are able to, the way I like to describe it is, Jesus described himself as living water. He's a well of living water. And sometimes when it comes to accessing water, we need to do a little bit of digging on our part. In order to draw that water up. And so in John chapter 7, it says, Jesus answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he will know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself. And so that's part of the test here. And that's where I like to kind of bring science into this, is we have to test the doctrine. And as we do the work, as we establish that connection, that's when we're able to draw out the water, taste of it for ourselves, and witness these things for ourselves. If I've witnessed something for myself and someone tries to, oh no, they try to cast doubt on it, that's kind of the winds and all these trials that kind of can beat upon you. But so long as I've witnessed it for myself, nothing's going to shake me. Yeah, there's a lot of secondhand witnesses and stuff, and that can, that's not a very strong foundation. And so that's kind of what we saw with the parable of the 10 virgins, is the secondhand accounts, people trying to live on borrowed light. And then there's the firsthand accounts that won't shake you. So this is a gospel that depends on firsthand accounts, just like it did in Jesus's day. And I can personally tell you about all kinds of miracles that I have witnessed, testifying that this church is true. I've seen my children healed. I've seen the power of the priesthood bless my family. It's given us a lot of direction and help throughout my life. I've seen many prayers answered. And okay, I promise you that if you can keep some basic commitments, meeting with the missionaries, that you'll see miracles happen in your life too. And you will have that experience. For flesh and blood hath not manifested unto thee, but thy Father which is in heaven. And this I say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much for those words. Before I pass things on to Aron, real quick, I just want to do a quick shout out to Dallas, Texas. If you're in Dallas, Texas right now, let me see you in the chat. Modern Day Debate is coming to Dallas, Texas to do a live show. As you can see in Aron's incitement, he will also be there on stage for you guys, debating some of the more interesting topics that you could pretty much imagine. At DEBATECON, I would wager there's going to be very few topics not touched on. You can get your tickets at the event center link here in the description, so feel free to head on down there. Now, if you're not watching us today from Texas, no problem. We are also doing a crowdfund, so if you guys want to help support the channel and DEBATECON, please click on the Indigo link in the description and show your support in that way. I'm going to real quick hit the like button, as you guys all should, because Aron, it is your turn.
See, this is why it was more it would have been more responsible to have you command the mute button. All right. Yeah, thank you very much. In 1826, a 20-year-old grifter named Joseph Smith was arrested in Bainbridge, New York, on charges of being a disorderly person and an imposter, what we today would call a fraud. Court records referred to Smith as a glass looker because he was hired by a wealthy businessman named Josiah Stowell to act as a sort of treasure digger, specifically a psychic seer who would locate treasure by the gift and power of God. However, finding hidden treasures using supernatural devices like divining rods or seer stones has the same record of consistent failure as does faith healing. So Smith never actually found any treasure. Stowell's nephew recognized that Joseph Smith was defrauding his uncle and filed a legal complaint. There's an old adage that it is easier to lie to someone than to convince them that they've been lied to, and that was nicely illustrated here. Whether because of embarrassment or sunk cost fallacy or shame or simple credulity, it is often the case that the victim, a mark of a con job, doesn't realize that they've been had until everyone else points it out. So Stowell testified on Joseph's behalf about how these treasure digs worked. Smith said that he had a certain stone which he could put in a hat, and that he would put his face in the hat, and the stone would act like a crystal ball, showing him where to find hidden gold. And Smith had performed this supernatural service for Josiah Stowell several times, wherein Smith told Stowell where he could dig to find these treasures. Stowell paid Smith for the information, and dug where instructed, but never found any of the promised gold. Smith's father, Joseph Sr., testified on little Joey's behalf, saying that his boy really did possess the power and gift of God. Because of course he did. If it's true that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, then it's fair to assume that Joseph Smith Sr. was a crooked liar just like his son. Either he was just trying to save his own child, or he might have really believed that, because people can be really stupid, as my interlocutor will doubtless demonstrate for you tonight. Other witnesses testified that they were disgusted at the palpable deception that Smith used. Another stated that Joseph pretended to know the location of a buried treasure chest, that Joseph said that, as they kept digging for it, he said that the treasure chest kept settling away from them on account of an enchantment, such that no matter how deep they dug, the trunk kept repeating deeper, keeping about the same distance away from them, according to information that Smith pretended to get from the magic rock in his hat. So we're talking about imagined inanimate objects retreating as if consciously and allegedly magically to escape detection and hide further down in the earth. That anyone ever actually believed this is a testament to how stunningly stupid people can be. Smith played this con for years. In a few places, it was reported that Smith pretended to know where lost property of various kinds could be found in Palmyra, and that he used his seer stone pretending to know where coins were buried in Pennsylvania. But while he often collected payment for using this alleged psychic powers in this way, no one could cite a single instance where this stunt ever led to anyone actually finding anything of value. Somehow Josiah Stowell was still unaware of how he had been fooled, even though his own testimony on Smith's behalf made that so obvious to everyone else that it was damning. Joseph Smith was convicted and fined for fraud, but he was too poor to pay the fine because he obviously couldn't really find hidden gold after all. He could pretend to give up the whereabouts and then collect his payment from some greedy gullible rube and then get the hell out of there while someone else dug for it in vain. Still, the judge at the time apparently showed inappropriate leniency. He didn't want to throw Joe in jail just for being poor, so he allowed him what they called at the time leg bail, a designed escape. In other words, the judge simply let the boy go. It's too bad, too. If the judge had done what he legally should have done, we wouldn't have a Mormon church today, because 1 year later, Joseph Smith, using that same seer stone, claimed to have found the golden plates, which became the Book of Mormon. So he finally found his own gold. Oh, except that no one else ever actually got to see those golden plates. They had to be hidden away in secret for Joe's eyes only. Yeah, because people really can be that dumb, especially when faith is involved, because then you're going to see things that aren't even there. Now, just to get into the appropriate mindset of the time, just as we today fantasize about spaceships that we haven't built yet, Americans in the early part of the 19th century fantasized about submarines, which they hadn't perfected yet. And just as we might fixate on hidden codes of one kind or another, so too did they, knowing that Egyptians had a formal language that no one yet knew how to read. Well, the Rosetta Stone had actually been deciphered in 1822, just 5 years earlier, but news traveled much more slowly back then. So Joseph Smith was as yet unaware of this in 1827 when he claimed to have found a book made of gold that was allegedly written in an imaginary language that he made up and called Reformed Egyptian. He said that this secret book that no one else but him could see was written by pre-Columbian Native Americans who were allegedly secretly Jewish immigrants and pre-Christian Christians who came to the Holy Land and came from the Holy Land to the New World aboard wooden submarines that were allegedly built around 2600 BCE. And then also an ocean-faring boat that was built around 600 BCE. Now, Joseph Smith conned another gullible rube, Martin Harris, who was wealthy enough and stupid enough to fund the translation process. And not only would he fund it, making him Joseph Smith's boss, but he would also be Smith's employee, working as his scribe over a period of translation wherein no one was allowed to see the golden plates that they're supposed to be translating. The resulting work was the Book of Mormon, which was largely a ripoff of the Bible, but with a lot of obvious fan fiction thrown in. When they finished the first book, the Book of Lehi, Martin asked to take the manuscript home with him to get his wife's approval of the investment. Martin then returned to Joseph Smith with the news that the 116-page book was lost. And most historians believe that Lucy, Martin's wife, was simply withholding the manuscript to see if Joseph could reproduce the Book of Lehi verbatim. Either that or she burned it in disgust. Either way, Joseph Smith could not reproduce it because he wasn't translating from an original document like he said. He was making it up as he went along, and he couldn't remember everything he wrote verbatim. So instead, Joseph Smith wrote 1st and 2nd Nephi to replace the Book of Lehi, and he claimed it was from the same timeline but from a different perspective. Lehi's son, Nephi, and therefore contained many of the same elements, but was written differently. A bold save, but that bullshit excuse obviously failed to convince Mrs. Harris, who was obviously much wiser than her foolish husband. So Martin was cut out of the translation process, and Oliver Cowdery took over. Yet Joseph Smith was still able to dupe Martin Harris out of more money whenever he needed it. And this is when Lucy Harris decided that she couldn't stay married to such a credulous stooge anymore. So she sued for divorce, and the Harris farm was liquidated to settle the suit and to fund the printing of the Book of Mormon. Thus, Joseph Smith established the Mormon Church. Then, at the height of Egyptomania, which was going on at the time, an artifact dealer heard that Joseph Smith could translate Egyptian. So he sold some mummies and papyri to the church, and Joseph translated the hieroglyphs, creating his own Egyptian alphabet out of the individual characters. He eventually translated one portion, the Book of Abraham, and published it in 1842, along with 3 facsimiles in the papyri. It was canonized in 1880 and remains modern Mormon scripture to this day. However, by 1855, it was known that the translation was fabricated and false. The actual papyri were common funerary rites, the text dating to more than a millennium after the biblical Abraham. The papyri that were thought to have been lost were rediscovered in the late 1960s, and Joseph's translation is nonsense, and every serious Egyptologist today rejects it. Even the church itself knows that the Book of Abraham is false, because they admitted that none of the characters in the papyrus fragments mentioned Abraham's name or any of the events recorded in the Book of Abraham. The early Mormon church was dangerously militant and engaged in organized crime. Smith, for example, reportedly ran brothels where his call girls would poison his political opponents at his command, and their bodies would then feed the fishes in the river. And as he was the prophet and he could make the scriptures say whatever he wanted, just like Muhammad before him, then Joseph was allowed to have as many wives as he wanted, somewhere between 30 and 40. They could be as young as he wanted. He was caught with a 16-year-old. He married a 14-year-old. And sometimes he would simply take another man's wife as his own just because he wanted to. That's what an awful crime boss he was. Smith was arrested numerous times on various charges, but usually escaped conviction. 1830, was arrested multiple times for being a disorderly person, and then he moved from New York to Ohio, and a warrant was issued there, so he fled to Missouri. And then he was arrested. He was charged again, so he fled to Illinois. Then after the Mormon War, he was charged with treason. I'm having to speed all these up. And finally, in Illinois, he went too far when he arranged to have a mob destroy a printing press that was speaking out against him, and he was murdered while trying to escape jail for treason. Oh, and the religion he made up? Absolutely fraudulent nonsense, but we'll get into that during the discussion part of this debate.
All right. Thanks for that speedy finish there, Aron. Great job. Okay, everyone. So once again, calling out to all of the Modern Day Debate fans in Dallas, Texas. Modern Day Debate will be going live on stage, and tickets can be grabbed right here in the description section. Also, the usual call to action stuff, guys. If you haven't subscribed, Modern Day Debate has just hit 127,000 subscribers. I missed when it happened. It must have just happened. I've been watching it all day. Also, hit that like button, and feel free to show your support for DebateCon 4 in the Indiegogo down below. We are about to enter in a 60-minute open discussion. Remember to get your super chats in. It'll be a first come, first serve scenario with those, and also try to keep them respectful. Gentlemen, the floor is all yours.
So, Kyle, I got a couple of questions for you. Your reference to Jesus and Simon had nothing whatsoever to do with the foundation of Mormonism. So, I mean, that's the first thing that need to be addressed. Can you show me anything that Jesus ever said to distinguish Mormonism from every other Christian sect?
You'll want to unmute, Kyle.
I felt like your question there was chopped in half. What was your question again?
Can you show me anything Jesus ever said to distinguish Mormonism from every other Christian sect?
Okay, so what Jesus wrote in his day was talking about the foundation of the church and kind of the way it was built, and it was really focused on this revelation. And so you're not seeing him point to later. He's just saying, this is the way the church is built. This is the foundation. Upon this rock, I will build my church. And so as part of claiming that this is Jesus's church built in our day, we're going to say that this is the exact same rock that Jesus built his church on.
Okay, so you can't show me anything that Jesus ever said that distinguishes Mormonism from every other cult. And okay, in that case, then, where can we read what Jesus wrote?
Where can we read what Jesus wrote?
Yes, because I deal with a lot of biblical scholars in doing the analysis of the Bible, and one of the big complaints with Christianity is the fact that Jesus never wrote anything.
That is something here, and that's kind of it. This is the testimony of other people. It's a testimony of Mark, Matthew, Mark,
Well,
Luke,
except that
James.
you don't actually have those testimonies are erroneous. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were not written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John.
According to you?
No, not according to me. According to, again, the biblical scholarship. There is some possibility that Luke might have been associated with Luke, but the other ones, and that's only a possibility, that's not a probability. But in no case were the other gospels, is that even considered? That's like not even a thing.
Okay, so I just have your word for it on this matter right now.
Well, if you studied it at all, I mean, if you get into the biblical history, you'll see why it can't have been. You know, these documents that turn up like decades later, that first of all, they don't say that they're written by that person. They're talking about everything in third person. They're talking about everything not in the terms that you would expect of a witness, certainly not giving an eyewitness account. They're all talking about third person from somebody that's outside of the story entirely.
Okay. Regardless of this, whether it's true or not, what matters is the words that are written, right? The content of it. And so regardless of who wrote it, okay, the principle remains the same. The principle being, this is the rock whereon that is the foundation of the church.
Your rock doesn't show up for another 1800 years.
The rock doesn't show up for another 1800 years. Revelation.
So when you have this falsified history about these Native Americans that aren't Native Americans, they're Jewish, because we know that Native Americans are not Jewish, but you just that whole fan fiction doesn't show up until 1800 years later. So that's the testimony of Lehi and Nephi and all these other made up names. None of that is the rock that Jesus was talking about. And every other Christian denomination will tell you what the rock is, and that it's not that.
I didn't claim that was the rock. The rock is firsthand.
I could have sworn that's what you just said just now.
No, the rock that I said repeatedly in my opening statement was its firsthand account witnesses. Okay.
Right. And you don't have that.
I do have that. That's what I said. I do.
No, you don't.
You can't tell me what miracles I have and haven't experienced. You can't tell me how many prayers have been answered.
We're talking about a religion that existed before you. So your personal experiences mean nothing in this case.
We're talking about this is a living this is a living foundation, not a dead one.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. We're still talking about something that pre-existed you. And for which we have data to show when it was formed and how it came about and all of that. We can have evidence that we can follow. Subjective impressions are absolutely meaningless, particularly to someone like myself, who has already experienced, being a reborn Christian, being raised as a Mormon, and then spending years as a neo-pagan spiritualist, as an occultist. I know exactly how deceptive faith can be. So when you use the auto-deceptive nature of faith as your sole argument, then you literally don't have an argument.
It's not faith, it's knowledge. And
except that it's not knowledge. If it was knowledge, then you would be able to demonstrate it. You would be able to show what you know, and you can't do that.
It's about an experience. And so it's like whether or not I've ridden in the car or not, right? I turn the key, the car turns on. And so it's an
Speaking of cars, then, were you there when cars were invented?
I don't have to be there when cars were invented.
So why don't you have to be? If all of this is about personal experience, then why don't you have to be there?
Because I can experience it for myself. I can go out into my car.
You can experience the invention of the automobile in 1888? Yeah.
I can experience I can experience the cars that are existing right now.
But that doesn't tell you when they were invented, now does it? What does tell you when cars were invented?
It's not really a matter of when it was invented. That I feel like
If
that's
I ask when they were invented, then it becomes a matter of when they were invented. So what determines when cars were invented?
what determines when cars are invented. Well, I
Yeah,
can
because
study
you're talking
history on
about
the
personal
matter.
experience. Does your personal experience show that cars were invented before or after radio? Or do you need data, facts that imply? Do
Well,
you
we
need
can
to rely
go.
on those instead of your experience?
Okay, we have cars today. I can
Uh-huh.
go step into my car. I can turn it on. That tells me the car works.
Uh-huh. And the
Okay,
fact that your car has a radio in it, does that mean that the car existed before the radio? Or did the radio exist before the car? And does your personal experience have fuck all to do with either one of these?
all right, it's completely irrelevant.
Right.
Okay,
So you have your personal experience is completely irrelevant. We have to deal with data and what is actually implied by the facts. So you weren't there to personally experience the invention of the car. You weren't there to personally experience the formation of the church. None of that. Your personal experience, whatever miracles that you've mistaken for, for whatever natural occurrences or coincidences that you've mistaken for miracles are irrelevant. We're talking about whether Mormonism is true, and you haven't said anything at all about Mormonism, period. Your job in this debate is to show things that Mormonism says or believes or holds to be true that are separate from all the other Christian beliefs. And I'm going to qualify Mormonism as a subset of Christianity because you did. And you're going to show me how, and you show the audience how that thing that Mormonism believes that's different from all the other Christian sects, that thing is true. And you're going to be able to do that without your personal experience, because your personal experience means nothing. So show me something tangible. Show me something we can all look at.
Okay, so my objective here is to show that the whole thing is I am more Christian than all these other ones because
they're all more Christian than you, because you use the same bullshit story that all of them do, that they are the true Christians and you are not, because Catholics are not true Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses are not true Christians.
I don't claim that they're not true Christians.
And Mormons are not true Christians. And then Mormons are saying that all these others are not true Christians. So this is why your collective personal experiences mean nothing. You have to show the data. Show me something Mormonism believes that you can show to be true. If you're going to say that Mormonism is true, then how is Mormonism distinguished from all these other religious groups? Show that first, and then show how we can show the truth of it without having to trust your personal experiences, because I already know better than that.
Okay, so this is all about, that's what Jesus said was the foundation of his church.
And so every other Christian church, not Mormonism. You're supposed to be defending Mormonism today.
Okay, well, this is about the Church of Jesus Christ. That's what we are claiming to be.
Okay, so you're going to defend Catholicism, Greek Orthodoxy, Russian Orthodoxy?
I'm just defending the Church of Jesus Christ, which is what we claim to be, the Church of Jesus Christ. And so there are many offshoots of that, and I acknowledge that. And I don't claim that they're not Christian. Okay,
so is Orthodoxy and Catholicism, are these offshoots of Mormonism?
It's the Church of Jesus Christ. Okay, the Mormon is not.
Do you know what Mormonism is?
It is, yes, I do know what Mormonism is. If you look it up in the dictionary, it's members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Of Latter-day Saints. And that's an important distinction. Mm-hmm. The latter day, because they didn't exist during the Great Schism that got us Orthodoxy on one side and Catholicism on the other. Where prior to that, you had a bunch of different
Those were not the latter days. So it's just a matter of time period.
Right. At the dawn of Christianity, to the rock that Jesus was supposedly talking about, the church that he initially founded, was something that existed before the Great Schism, when you still had the Luciferians was still a Christian cult, for example, before you had the schism between Catholicism and Orthodoxy, before you had the Reformation, where you suddenly had Protestantism breaking away from Catholicism, and all these other things, all these other Christian groups that mostly started around the 19th century or in the 19th century, where your religion did too. You're not defending Jesus. The purpose of this debate for you is to show that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says very different things than all the other Christian sects. And you, in this debate, are supposed to show that that's true. Do you know what Mormonism says that's different than other Christian sects?
Yeah, I can say a lot of things, but the Church of Jesus Christ can't be true if the Church of Jesus Christ isn't true. And so,
well, you could stop with just half that sentence.
You're trying to separate the two.
Yeah, you can stop with half the sentence. The Church of Jesus Christ can't be true. We can stop with that.
It's the same thing. It's just a matter of time period. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can't be true if the former church wasn't. Yeah,
the former church wasn't true either, and we can get there. But I want to take baby steps. Let's crush Mormonism first before we squash Christianity, and then we can move on to theism in general.
Christianity, you're trying to separate the two, but you can't.
Christianity is a parent category. Would you believe that are sharks a subset of goldfish? No, both of them are a subset of fish. So fish is the parent category that includes both sharks and goldfish, right?
Okay.
So
you can
Mormonism
parent category is a good term for it.
Mormonism
so we have foundation
is a subset of Christianity, and Christianity is a subset of theism. Let's start with the thing that you were here to defend. Mormonism is because this debate topic was not, is Christianity true? This debate topic was Mormonism true?
Well, so, I'm not a Mormon, so that's kind of.
You're not a Mormon.
I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
You're not a Mormon? You're the Church.
We don't use the term Mormon.
Is there another word? Wait, I was baptized in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You know what they're called? Mormons.
By who?
You know what their holy book is called?
By who?
The Book of Mormon. You know who calls them Mormons? My entire family, who are Mormon. That's who calls them Mormon. They call themselves Mormon.
We specifically
my mother
said we are not Mormons.
Works in the temple. She knows what the fuck a Mormon is.
Yeah, we specifically come out and say we are not Mormons. That's
and this is a new trend, but it wasn't always that way. I grew up with this church. They didn't have a problem calling themselves Mormons until like less than 10 years ago. And then that didn't last long. Somebody wanted to create a controversy over it, and then people got over it, and you guys are Mormons again. Big damn deal. The point is...
What? That's totally BS.
The point is, you were supposed to defend the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the people who call themselves Mormon, the people everybody else calls Mormon, the people with the Holy Book called the Book of Mormon. You're supposed to defend that separate from all other Christian sects. And then when we're done with that, then if you like, then we can look to Christianity and then theism and then supernaturalism in general.
See, I don't distinguish a difference between the two. They are one and the same.
Okay,
so you're trying really hard to
tear from ducks.
You're trying really hard to tear them apart, but they are one and the same, and that is my entire opening statement.
So you don't think that there's
that they are one and the same
between a mallard and a Muscovy or a wood duck? They're all exactly the same thing. They're all mallards.
They're all ducks, but
they're all ducks. So is there a difference between a mallard and a Muscovy or a wood duck or or a Peking duck or any of these others?
A Christian is just someone who believes in Jesus.
Okay. Were you aware that the header for the debate that we were invited to, were they forthcoming with you? Did they tell you what the debate topic was when they invited you to do this?
Yes.
Did they throw the word Mormonism in there?
Yes.
So now you're pretending you don't know what Mormonism is, but you agreed to do a debate where you defend Mormonism.
Well, I've told them repeatedly that I am a member of the Church of
belief
Jesus Christ.
system when you don't even know what the belief system is.
I am very much aware of what my belief system is. And
so it is your belief system, and you are in fact a Mormon. Very good. I'm glad we got through the bullshit arcade and we got to this point where we should have been 5 minutes ago. So back to square one. Show me something that Mormons, that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says, the Mormons says, that is different than Catholicism, different than the Jehovah's Witnesses, different from the Seventh-day Adventists, different from Orthodoxy, and so on. What is it that Mormonism believes that's different from all these others, and then show how that is true.
Well, if you listen to my opening statement, it's all about the foundation. And so
Yeah,
you
I
tell
realized
me
that you didn't have a foundation. And the sad thing is you didn't realize that you didn't have one.
upon this rock I will build my church.
Right,
That
I
is
know,
a foundation
So
of
you don't even
modern
know
day
what you're talking
revelation.
about.
Oh, I do know what I'm talking
No,
about.
you don't. You don't
Okay,
know what
well,
we don't know what the rock is. You don't know what the foundation is. Now you're pretending you don't know what Mormonism is, or alternately pretending you don't know what Mormonism. When it's convenient for you, then you remember what Mormonism is, but you still can't defend it, can you? So tell me something that Mormons believe, that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints believes, that is different than all the other Christian sects. Show me that first, and then show me how we know that that is true. If you can't do both of those things, just concede defeat now, and we can change the topic if you like. We can debate about something else.
well, this is all about establishing that this is the same church as it was back then.
Except that it isn't, is it?
It is. It's got the same
You mentioned,
foundation.
where is Nephi and Lehi and the submarines and all of that? Where is
That's
that
not.
mentioned?
It doesn't need to be mentioned over there.
Okay, well, if you're talking
just a
about
different.
if you're talking about a religion that is based on these documents that are not mentioned anywhere, then you can't say that it's the same church. Now, can you?
Okay, so I can have my own personal experiences, and I can
Which
write
will
about
be
those
irrelevant.
personal experiences. That personal experiences is the foundation I just mentioned.
Okay,
Okay?
you don't have a foundation then.
I have lots of personal experiences. I don't know
Yeah,
what you're
but no
talking about.
foundation.
The personal experiences is the foundation.
Then you don't have a foundation. And what you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be defending, is Mormonism true? Not is Christianity true, is Mormonism true? So there's a specific subset that you're going to focus on. That you're not going to argue whether Christianity is true. So it doesn't matter what you think the rock is. You're wrong, but it doesn't matter what you think it is. You're arguing for Mormonism. Now, you and I can both list things that Mormons believe that are different than what all Christians believe, and that Jesus never mentioned.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can't be true unless Christianity itself is true. That is, yeah,
right.
It is
but
Christianity.
Here's an important thing. Christianity, for the purpose of this logical discussion, it is logically possible that Christianity could be true and Mormonism still be false. You understand what that means?
Well, it's so long as it's the same doctrine, then
is it?
That doesn't work.
So the Jehovah's Witnesses, are they the true religion?
Well, I don't see them building on the same kind of foundation.
Aren't they? Don't they declare the same rock you do?
Well, they believe in Jesus, but
okay,
I don't see them talking.
So what you're saying is the Jehovah's Witnesses are the true faith.
I did not say that.
Are you equally adept at defending Jehovah? If they had called you and to debate me on, is Jehovah's Witness the true Christian church, would you be able to do that today?
Okay, it's not that. It's totally different.
That's a yes or no question.
I wouldn't debate you on that.
Why?
Because I don't believe that.
So you do accept.
It's got many truths to it.
Okay, so you accept
many truths to it, but it's not 100% true.
So
they have elements of it.
That logically Christianity could be true, but that does not mean that Orthodoxy is the true Christian church, or that Catholicism is the true Christian church, or that Southern Baptists or the Seventh-day Adventists or any of the others. It doesn't mean that any of the subsets are necessarily the true Christian church. Okay, at best, where they differ from each other would be, what would you call that? Where the things that Jehovah's Witnesses believe that no other Christians believe, those would be false then, right?
Okay. So here's my big thing. Remember how in my opening statement, please let me talk. All right. In my opening statement, I mentioned the parable of the 10 virgins, right? There were those who had the oil, who had their own personal experiences that was able to sustain them. And then there are those who lived on borrowed light, okay, who lacked the personal experiences to sustain them. They didn't have that foundation, okay? It was that foundation of sand. You're just kind of going off of secondhand accounts. And so those who had that personal experiences, they are the ones that said, Jesus welcomed in. And those who did not, I know you not, kind of an experience. And so that's the real question right there, is which one is founded on those kind of personal experiences.
But
and
none of them are founded on personal experiences. They're all founded on doctrine, which is not personal experiences. These are,
well,
things that are
I've studied
down.
a long time with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah. And they're not ones who are continually urging me to pray and ask and find out for myself. That it's not how their church works. But that's like the very first thing we teach people to do, is pray and ask and find out for yourself, and make and keep commitments. As Jesus said, whosoever doeth what I say, they shall know of my doctrine. Okay, so they shall be the ones who gain their personal experiences. Yeah, so it's all about making and keeping commitments, and actually doing things, and then it's by doing things that we're able to learn for ourselves. And yeah.
So you're telling me then that Mormonism is no different than Roman Catholicism or Russian Orthodoxy?
No, that's not what I said at all.
But yeah, you did. You said they're all Christian. All you have to do to be Christian is to believe. You believe in Jesus, and you will not show what Mormonism believes as distinguished from all these other Christian sects. You just said, well, Christianity has to be true if Mormonism is true, and that would be correct. Yeah, if Mormonism was true, it's not. But if Mormonism was true, that would depend on Christianity being true. But Christianity can be true, and Russian Orthodoxy and Jehovah's Witnesses and Catholicism and Southern Baptists all be wrong. They could all be wrong.
All right, so I'll point you right back to the parable of the 10 virgins here. There were 5 that are wise and 5 that are foolish. Okay, they were all Christians. Okay, all 10 of them were Christians. They were people who were waiting for Jesus to come, right? And so that can describe the many different sects out there. They're all waiting for Jesus to come. They all believe in Jesus. But then in the end, Jesus acknowledges the ones who have had personal experiences with him. And yeah, I know you not.
All these people
was a really strong word.
Huh? And there's Hindus who believe that they've had personal experience of Jesus, that Krishna reappeared in the form of Jesus, and that Jesus and Krishna are in fact the same person. Mm-hmm. Does that make Bhakti Hinduism true?
Well, did they really have personal experiences, or do you?
Well, they really have personal experiences with Lord Krishna, and they say that Christians are deceived by believing in Jesus when the true form is actually Krishna.
That sounds kind of like Krishna's the deceiver here, pretending to be someone.
I wonder why Krishna would be the deceiver. If we have a bunch of deceivers here, how do we weed them out? Let's see. We've got the parent body of Christianity, and then we have all these different sects, all the subsets. And you have chosen to defend one of them. You can't defend Catholicism. You won't defend Catholicism, will you?
Well, I am defending Catholicism by defending Jesus.
Can you debate? If they had told you to debate me against, is Catholicism true? Would you be able to do that?
I could tell you that parts of Catholicism are true, and
are you going to tell me
Jesus.
That parts of Mormonism are true?
Well, I'm focusing on it's very different here. I can talk to because it's all okay. If I were to take one bite of a pizza or eat a whole pizza, and so I can talk about yeah, and that's kind of it. Is am I talking about the entire pizza, or am I just talking about just a portion of it? And so I can.
Well, let me help you out.
Talking about the whole.
You're talking about a portion of it. You're not talking about the entire pizza. You're not. You're talking about a portion of it. The portion called Mormonism. Now, what is Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? What is it that's different about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that is different from all the other sects? What is it they believe that no other Christian sect believes? Give me an idea.
Okay, well, I believe that we've got the entire foundation here. We got the whole pizza, not just parts of it.
Okay,
Everyone else
but does
kind
that
of uses
so is
parts
there
of it.
somewhere in the Book of Mormon, I already know better than this, but is there somewhere in the Book of Mormon that says that every Christian sect is equally 100% true?
Does it say, well, okay, Christianity is believing in Jesus, okay? And so Jesus is 100% true. And so if anyone believes in Jesus, they are 100% right.
Well, I'm
Okay.
sorry that Jesus is not 100% true, but we will get there. Jesus is not truth at all, but we can get there. We have to start baby steps now. You came on to discuss Mormonism,
Which is the Church of
which
Jesus
is
Christ
not
in the latter
synonymous with,
days.
which is not Seventh-day Adventism, which is not Russian Orthodoxy. It's not Greek Orthodoxy. It's not Roman Catholicism. It's not Lutheranism. It's not Methodism. So you have all these different denominations. You've chosen to defend one of them. Show me the one that you're here to defend. Show me how they're different from all the other Christian sects, and then show me how Mormonism is true. You remember what the topic of the debate is? Recite it for me. What's the topic of the debate?
Well, I keep telling them to say Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but they always shorten it to Mormonism.
Okay, so regardless, are you telling me that what is the topic? To phrase it however you think it should be. What is the topic of the debate today?
Is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints true?
Okay, so what is it that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints believes that distinguishes that sect from every other Christian faith?
What distinguishes us?
Yes.
Oh, a big thing about this is going to be the restoration itself, the apostasy itself. I don't know how many other churches out there believe in the great apostasy. That's a huge topic right there.
I think all of them, because that's a pre-Christian concept. So that doesn't
all
matter
of them
either.
I haven't really heard it. Yeah. I haven't really
does,
gone around.
I mean, do
you really have the authority to speak on behalf of all of them? Have you really studied every single different denominational sect out there?
The basis, what you're talking about when you're quoting Jesus, Jesus was talking about the great apostasy when many would, false prophets would come in my name and that sort of thing. Yeah, so if Jesus said that and every other cult is based on what he said, then every other cult believes that same thing. But Mormons believe something very different, something that Jesus never said, a few things that Jesus never said. And these are the things that distinguish Mormonism, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, from every other Christian faith. So can you describe something, and I know you can do it, describe something that Mormons believe that no other Christian faith believes?
Well, we believe in our divine potential. We believe,
and no other Christian,
we are the children of our Heavenly Father.
Every other Christian sect believes in that. I said to find the stuff, find me a thing that Mormons believe that's different. And you failed to do that. Let me help you out here. And I know the audience is they're just falling over themselves to answer this question that you refuse to answer. So in Mormonism, I was raised I didn't believe all of this because my brain worked, but my family taught me to believe that if you're a good and righteous person and you get married in the temple to a good and righteous person and you live saintly lives and all of this, that when you die, ultimately, you get something equivalent to your own planet.
No, we don't believe that.
What's that?
We don't believe that. I'm a flat earther.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, how do you, and God is supposed to live on the planet Kolob.
He doesn't live on the planet Kolob.
Okay, so how does that work when you don't believe in reality at all? You don't believe you don't believe that planets are planets.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really strong that Joseph Smith repeated the entire creation account additional times, re-emphasizing the significance of it, talking about this firmament that covers the entire
what a firmament
earth.
is?
Yeah, it's a solid structure. It's the dome or solid structure that I very strongly believe in. There's evidence for
it. That because my mother, Mormon, refused to believe that there were flat earthers. My mother refused to believe that there were flat earth Mormons because Mormons were too wise to believe that the earth was flat because they knew the truth of God. And when I told her yesterday that I would be debating a flat earth Mormon, she was deeply ashamed.
Yeah.
She's so
Yeah.
sorry that people like you exist and that make her look ridiculous.
Okay. Is that all you've got?
So, is there something you would recognize that Mormons believe that is not good? Because let me back up a little bit. When I was 14, my mother criticized me for making fun of the Mormon church. And she said that I don't really know what I'm talking about. And so if I'm dissing something that I don't understand what it is, that makes me a hypocrite. And I said, you know what? You're right. If I'm criticizing something I don't even know about, that is hypocrisy. So I submit, call on your Mormon missionaries. So she brought them all over. I had 4 other kids called elders, because that makes sense. But I mean, I had all these people who are barely older than me, and they're teaching me what Mormons believe. And they taught me a bunch of stuff. These are missionaries, elders from the Mormon church who told me that God has a body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I remember asking, God exists everywhere and every when, in every dimension. He exists in every planet. He exists everywhere across the universe. And yet he has lungs and his arms extend this far. And he has nipples for some reason. And there was a bunch of other things that came up. There was a whole lot of stupid things that were brought up by these Mormons. And one of them was that if you live this good and saintly life, then you get to be like unto God, in that you get your own realm that you get to be the God of. And you're saying
Okay.
that the Mormon missionaries that came and taught me that you can look this up objectively everywhere, but you're telling me that that's not true, despite the fact we can look it up and verify it anywhere.
When did I say that wasn't true? I said we don't believe. I don't believe in any kind of other planets out there.
Yeah,
Okay?
you
like
don't.
that we
You
that,
don't.
that God lives on another planet.
You
That's
don't.
just
You personally don't. But I know a
it's
whole lot
right
of
there in
people
the
very,
Bible.
very
So
well.
we believe in the Bible.
I know a whole lot of people very, very well who believe in the Bible and believe in other planets.
Yeah, yeah.
And because they believe in the Book of Mormon, they believe in other planets.
Okay, sorry. I misspoke. Okay, I still believe that planets like Jupiter exist and stuff like that. Though my understanding of them is different than a lot of other people's out there.
But you don't have an understanding of it. That's how it's different. So
Okay.
give me something that Mormons believe that's different from all the other faiths, so we can separate what Mormonism is, and then show me how that's true. That's your purpose of the debate. It's so very simple. You
Okay.
can either do that or simply concede defeat, and we'll change the topic.
Okay. So the Bible talks about baptisms for the dead. Who else is practicing baptisms for the dead?
I don't know who else is practicing baptism.
Okay, there's
for the dead,
one
but that
thing
also
that
wasn't part of the original doctrine.
it's right there in the Bible, baptisms for the dead.
Okay.
So you wanted one thing that really separates us, and I'm saying, well,
Okay,
they're
so
teaching
you're
this right here in
saying-
the Bible, and this is something that we believe in.
You're saying that the doctrine that we get our own realm to become like gods over, that none of that is true.
That's not what I said. I said
Okay,
that.
well, will you
yeah.
state whether that is true?
Okay. Jesus said, "Ye are gods, children of the Most High." Okay, and so
Okay.
that is something that when Jesus said it, we believe him. And so
Okay.
a lot of other people out there say, no, that's not what it meant. That's what it says, but not what he means. And
Okay.
they kind of get into all this. And yeah, but that's one unique thing about us is we take him on his word.
Okay. So let's assume he said that. At least we've got something to go on. We finally can take a first step. We're an hour into this before we can take the first step. That's sad. So when Jesus says that we are gods, what does it mean to be a god? What is a god?
What is a god? I'd call this a divine being.
I mean, what is a divine being?
Someone who is really righteous and glorified. I can kind of describe righteousness, someone who isn't constantly sinning. I guess you could say that.
Okay, so you've just
the
described
definition
me.
of very.
I don't know where to go with that. I mean, we need
Okay.
something better. So with a god, you can't just say a divine being, because divine being means God. God means divine being. They mean the same thing. and somebody
Uh,
who isn't sinning.
Well, I think
Sorry.
okay. So we can point out the Greeks who believed in all kinds of different gods that were very malicious and terrible and evil, and
Like
yeah,
yours.
there were evil gods, right?
Yeah, like
And
yours.
so yeah, but divine is not evil. Okay, divine
Oh,
is
I'm
like
sorry. I
good.
thought Isaiah 45, 5, 6, and 7 showed that God created evil, that he brings good, that he brings evil, that he causes all calamity, and there is none else. There's only him doing all these things. Do you believe the Bible, or do you not?
I don't believe that God allows evil to happen so we can have our agency.
So God brings calamity, and so God causes evil according to God's own word in Isaiah. Do you believe it or not?
That God causes calamity. Well,
And
yeah.
he created evil, that he brings both good and evil, and there is none else. There's only him. He's responsible for every good thing that happens, every evil thing that happens. He does both. He's responsible for all of it.
Okay, I'd have to like pull this up myself and kind of read it, and I'd like to look at the Hebrew on it. So that's a scripture I haven't fully studied
Really?
yet. Really.
Isaiah 45? Really? Okay.
You asked me, that's yeah.
All right. I thought when you said you believed the Bible, I thought you'd read it.
Well,
I shouldn't have made
yeah.
that assumption.
Okay.
So
There's the Bible's a really big book, and it takes a long time to pull out the magnifying glass over every single little scripture. And yeah, I'm learning new things about the Bible every day. It's a continual journey, but that doesn't erase any of the experiences I've had that testify of its
we
truth.
don't need to erase your personal experiences. They're irrelevant.
Okay, well, that's the foundation that I stand upon. That is the rock
You
upon
don't
which
have
I'm
a
built.
foundation. All you've got is subjective impressions. You don't have data at all.
I've
You're going
got
to show
lots of
us. You're going to show us that you're going to debate whether this thing is true, and you have nothing to show that it is true. You have that you believe it, and that doesn't matter because I believe that it's false. And there's a whole lot of other people who believe that it's false. There's a whole lot of people who believe that their religion is true, and they outweigh you. There's too many of them.
So it sounds like you're making an ad populum argument there.
Well, we're not. We're not.
There's too many out there.
If two people claim to have divine inspiration for mutually exclusive absolute truths, at least one of them is wrong. Both of them can be. If you have 12 people who all claim to have personal revelation from God that shows that theirs is the one true faith, it's absolutely true, and everybody else is deceived. Oh, again, logically, only one of them even can be true, and the probability is that they're all
and
false.
The only way to find out for yourself is through your own personal experiences.
Okay, so everybody found out from their own personal experience that their different religious denominations were the one true Christian faith. And so you're saying the same thing. So you can't show anything that Mormons believe that is true as separate or distinguished from every other Christian faith.
Okay. I just talked about that we focus on the foundation, and that's going to be a huge thing. But I greatly disagree. So.
Yeah, I know, because you don't understand. You don't realize your subjective impressions, for the reasons I just explained, don't qualify as data.
Right.
Everybody,
well, you're kind of creating this big hypothetical.
You have 100 different denominations of different religions. Everybody claims to have absolute truth. Everyone has personal experiences. They have a revelation from God. They have a revelation of God through Scripture to show that their subset of Lutheranism is the one true faith.
You don't speak on behalf of
that. No, it's Shia Islam, and the other one says no, it's Sunni Islam. No, it's Bhakti Hindu. No, it's Brahmin Hindu. And all of these people are claiming absolute truth from divine revelation, from a personal experience, from a personal God. All of them are making the same claim you are.
You have no authority to say that.
Are they all true?
You have no authority to say that. You don't speak on behalf of all these different people.
I don't need authority.
There's no poll. Okay, there's no poll like gone out and done that. You're speaking on behalf
There's no poll. It's all
Okay.
over the place. Yes, people give their personal testimony all the time.
Okay, you're claiming to speak on behalf of everyone when you have
I'm
done
not claiming to
nothing to
speak on
gather
behalf
their
of anyone.
statements.
You can Google it. H. Krishna Shusharla made a very similar statement on what the fuck it was on Usenet, where he was talking about the absolute truth of the Bhakti Hindu faith. He made the same claims that you are. I read another testimony in 1981 from a Buddhist girl in Thailand who said that her entire life turned around the moment she accepted Buddha into her life. The absolute truth they claim is the same kind of thing that you're claiming. They're claiming mutually exclusive conclusions for entirely different religions. I know a guy who lives 2 miles from me who met Bast. He worships her because she appeared in his house physically manifest, visible, tangible, audible, and bade him to be her disciple. Now, when a topless woman with a cat's head appears in your house and tells you, worship me, you do, especially if you already have a thing about cats. So he met his God. And I know that the Bhakti commonly have met their gods too. And it's usually Krishna. From my personal experience, it's usually Krishna, because in America, that's unfortunately, in India you wouldn't see many of that, but in the United States you do. And Indians get upset about that. Bhakti are overly represented here. ISKCON, that we get the Krishna people. But anyway, they've met their God. They've seen him. They've heard him speak. They have a personal relationship with him. They have a revelation where he has spoken to them directly or through the scripture. Revelation through scripture.
Do they teach that you can have similar experiences for yourself, or
Absolutely.
do they entirely expect you to trust them on the matter?
Public statements from the Beatles, of all people, from John Lennon and George Harrison, making the same claims that you are for the verifiable truth of Krishna. So
The Beatles
your
believed in
personal
Krishna? I didn't know that.
experiences matter not. It's your word against all those other people who contradict you for different gods. So you're just one other person saying, my God is the real one. No, my God is the real one. No, my God is the real one. No, my God is the real one. And what is the reason all of you give? We all have personal experiences that contradict everybody else's personal experience. So you ain't got shit. If you're going to defend Mormonism or any other faith, whether it's Christian or Hindu or Islam or whatever, you need more than your personal experience. Your personal experience doesn't matter.
Whether I saw it for myself or didn't, that does matter. And yeah, that's
not in a debate. It doesn't. You have to show reasons.
Reasons. Well, okay,
yes.
I presented many
have
reasons.
To be factual. Do you know what a fact is?
Yes, I'm aware of a fact.
What is
it's
a
fact? Truth. It is a truth.
What is a fact?
A truth.
All right. A fact is a point of objectively verifiable data. Now, we call it truth if we make the statement that it happens to be true, right? We've correctly expressed an observation. I often say that the truth is what the facts are, because I don't want people claiming things to be truth that they can't show the truth of it. So it has to be something we can show the verifiable fact. You show that it's a fact, then you get to call it a truth. You don't get to call it a truth until then, which you already did.
Okay, so I can't tell you that I ate lunch today.
You already claimed that Jesus was the truth, even though you couldn't show that there was any fact behind it.
Okay, so I can't tell you that I ate lunch today and call that a truth. I experienced it. Yeah.
Is it a contested point?
Well, it's a fact, right? I ate lunch today. That's a fact.
Okay, that I can take as a trivial matter. It doesn't matter what your word is on something trivial. It really doesn't. But then we get into Sagan's dilemma when he says that, positive claims require positive evidence and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The more outrageous and preposterous your claim, the more compelling your evidence, the more sound and compelling and complete your evidence has to be. So you make an extraordinary claim, have profound evidence to back it up.
Yeah, and so that's what we really do. That's a missionary's objective, is to help you. That's
okay. Do that for me. If that's what
you've been talking like,
do that for me. Show me the profound evidence. First, let's focus on something that Mormons believe that's separate from every other Christian faith. Show me that. Give me. How does Mormon doctrine differ from other Christian faiths?
It differs by what we do. And so Jesus said, is by doing things, that's where you know things, by experiencing these things. And so I encourage other
But
people,
Mormon
like,
doctrine gives us an expression of beliefs of what's going to happen in the afterlife and other aspects of history and origin and all. There are things that you are supposed to believe, that you're required to believe. You know what a doctrine is? A body of beliefs.
mhm.
So give me the body of beliefs for Mormonism, and then show me how that is true. And the body of beliefs for Mormonism that's not shared in common with every other Christian denomination. Give me something that is specifically Mormon, because you're here to defend whether Mormonism is true. Give me that.
And Jesus himself is a humongous, like, you're trying to take Jesus out of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It doesn't work that way.
It does when we're talking about Mormonism, because you understand the concession I made that it is logically possible for Christianity to be true and Mormonism to be false.
So long as Christianity is a belief in Jesus Christ, yeah, that it still stands. And so that's going to embrace.
So the Seventh-day Adventists are the true faith?
So long as they believe in Jesus Christ, that is a true faith.
That's all you need. So it doesn't matter if you believe that dancing is a sin, or if you believe that dancing is permitted. It doesn't matter how many contradictions there are. It doesn't matter if your clergy is allowed to have sex is allowed to be married, or if they're required to be celibate, or if women have to have their hair covered, or if women are allowed to wear pants, or if they're forced to wear dresses, if they have to dress like from the 1800s. It doesn't matter what all the other rules are that every other Christian denomination lays out. They're all equally true, even when they contradict each other.
Okay. There are different offshoots again, but the foundation right there, the start, okay, is Jesus the Christ. Okay. And that's the core principle.
Let's pretend for a moment that the thing that you believe, which is false, by the way, Jesus is not the Christ, but let's pretend for a moment that he is. Does that mean that all of these fundamentalists, or all these different sects, are all equally absolutely true?
That part of it. Okay. That part of it.
So it's not absolutely true. So there's some things that are only partially true.
It seems like you and I are defining things differently here.
You think? Maybe? I'm trying to help you out here as much as I can. The audience is really upset at this point. I mean,
well, they always are.
It's like that movie, where you have to explain to the guy how to, there's like two guys riding the range. They're doing like the modern cowboy thing, and then one guy is trying to explain to the other one how to set the timer on the VCR. And then the other one, we say, shut up, stop trying to explain it to this guy. The cows can program a VCR by now, but he still can't. That's where I feel I am with you. I'm looking for you to come up with something that give me a doctrine, how doctrine of Mormonism is distinguished from all Christianity, and then show me how that is true. What I got is that Mormonism is exactly the same as every other Christian faith, and it's true because you believe it. And that's it. And that's all. And nothing else.
Okay, well, we talked about several different principles, and it's just going right back to the Bible. The foundation is Jesus,
which is not the foundation of Mormonism.
I greatly disagree. And so it's like
I'm
saying something, and then you're talking
by
right
Joseph Smith in the 19th century, based on documents that he claimed to have found. So that's where Mormonism begins, and it's based on the doctrine he wrote.
Okay, his experience was the thing. Okay, that was his foundation, was his experience, where he saw God the Father and the Son Jesus Christ, and that experience was
all right. Let's go with that then. Since Christianity mostly, I mean, there are Unitarian Christians. I, like you, was raised as a binitarian Christian, but there are Trinitarian Christians who seem oblivious to the idea that there is a Yahweh, that there is a Jehovah. They think that Jesus is God the Father. And this is a weird thought. Some biblical scholars are a little upset that why would people think that Jesus is his own Father? But there's a lot of Christians who believe that it's all a triune being. And they ignore where in the Bible where God speaks while Jesus is in the room? God says, "Hey, this is my son in whom I am very proud," and then the Holy Ghost leads off Jesus to someplace he didn't know. No, these people think that the Holy Spirit and Jehovah and Jesus all the same person, that they're all equally the same entity, that they're not a triune Godhead like the Trimurti of Hinduism. There's something else. They're the same essence, so that Jesus now knows everything God knows, even though Jesus said he didn't know everything God knows. But there's still a bunch of Trinitarian Christians who believe that Jesus is God. And you're saying that Jesus and God can stand side by side.
We believe in God, the eternal Father, and in his Son, Jesus Christ, and in the Holy Ghost.
So a lot of Christians will tell me, regardless of what it says in Exodus about the 70 elders who got to see Jesus in the flesh, or excuse me, who got to see God in the flesh, not Jesus, that regardless of all these passages where people like Abraham was able to recognize God as one of the three men knocking on his door, all of that, they just dismiss all of that and say that God doesn't have a body. You can't see God. You can see Jesus. But now, when Mormons say that Joseph Smith saw Jesus and God standing side by side, you have other Christians saying that that's impossible.
Okay.
Would that be? Would you say that that's a difference between Mormon doctrine and other Christian doctrine?
That we have different beliefs about Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to defend the different belief that you have as a Mormon from other Christian denominations. So give me an example. We finally caught on, I think. Give me an example of where doctrine for Mormons differs from that of all the other Christian doctrine. What makes Mormonism unique as a Christian faith?
Sounds like you want me to read the Articles of Faith here. Articles of Faith.
However you want to interpret that, can you show me some body of beliefs that Mormonism holds to, or that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints holds to, that no other Christian faith does? Something that is uniquely Mormon.
Well, we've talked about several things now. We talked about Jesus saying, "Ye are gods, children of the Most High." Right?
Okay,
that's saying that we are the same species. Okay, we're the same species.
You couldn't define what a god is.
I did define what a god is.
No, you said a god is a divine being. That's a tautology. That means the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Okay, then what is a god?
Okay, I described a righteous being. I also can describe.
You described me.
Good.
We're asking for a god.
Well, okay. Well, I believe that we are all gods. Okay, and
doesn't matter what
gods.
you believe.
Okay,
what is a god?
You just asked me what I believe.
If you're going to use words, the words should have meaning, right?
You just asked me what I believed.
Okay, Jesus says you are all gods. What does that mean?
It means you, Aron. Okay, you are a god.
I'm Jehovah.
Okay, it says you are a god. Okay, one of God's children. Okay, it's God's plural. Okay,
am I Odin? Because I kind of favor Odin.
You are Aron Ra.
We look similar in the eyes, I hear.
Okay. You are Aron Ra. Okay, you are a god. Okay,
and what does it mean to be a god?
Okay?
And what does it mean to be a god?
What does it mean to be a god?
Yeah, because in Greek mythology,
that's a good question.
Greek mythology was that Jupiter was upset that Prometheus gave the forbidden knowledge to man, because if man knew how to build fire, then man would be like unto the gods. So it was knowledge of fire that made man into gods. And in Genesis 3, Jehovah gets upset that men know right from wrong, and that knowledge is what makes men like unto gods. But in neither case does it explain what a god is. Is a god just anybody who knows how to make fire and who can tell right from wrong?
Okay. The Bible often describes use the term Elohim. Okay, and that often gets translated to God, and that often means great leader, someone who is a leader.
Okay, so anybody who's a great leader is a god. Well, no, everybody's a god.
Everybody's by definition. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so yep. I have a dog right here. Is he a god?
I don't believe so. It doesn't match the description.
What's the description?
Okay, ye are children of God. Okay, that it's talking about
How
a
is he
species.
not a child of God?
Because he's a different species.
How am I a child of God?
Okay, and so you have a body. You've got Yeah, you've got a
He has
body.
a body.
Okay, but you are made in the image of God. Your dog isn't made in the image of
I'm not in
our Heavenly
in
Father.
the image of you.
Okay,
You
but
and
you
I
are
look
made
very
in the
different.
image. You are made in the image of your Father. Okay, and so yes, we are
My father looked
brothers.
remarkably like me, but with a Brill cream pompadour
Okay,
instead of
yeah,
my hair.
we are brothers, and so children can have the same kind of
So
qualities.
a
Okay,
God is
you still
just
have
God is just any white guy.
no, not at all.
Okay. Pre 1978, when I met with these missionaries when I was 14, I was told in 1977, in fact, that black people could not get into the church because what was it? The mark of the curse of Cain.
Yeah, that's one of the false
Yeah.
traditions of men that
False
many
traditions
people
of
to
men
believe
that was written into the Mormon doctrine. So you're now admitting that Mormon doctrine includes false traditions of men?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think this debate is over then. You've conceded Mormonism is not true. You hold false traditions of men. There is nothing that you could show that is what you when you can't distinguish anything from Mormonism from Christianity, then you've got nothing to work with. When you can distinguish one thing different from the rest of the body of Christianity, you immediately realize that it's false traditions of men. That's all we've got.
Well, it's an ongoing restoration. It's kind of, yeah.
Isn't it funny how the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh-day Adventists both use the same argument? They both claim, and Catholicism does too, and so does Orthodoxy, by the way. They all claim to be the real original faith, and that everybody else has deviated from that, and that they're all trying to get back to the original true way. The Jehovah's Witnesses, which came about shortly around about the time that the Mormons did, the Jehovah's Witnesses came around, and then they're trying to say that they're going back to the original true way. They're all making the same claim that you are. Can you show me that any of it is true?
Oh, that's what I was trying to tell you about from the very beginning about building on the foundation. Go and do these things,
Which
and as you do these things, you will
personal, subjective impressions.
We want you to have your own
personal
personal experiences. Yeah, but
right.
in order for you to have your own personal experiences, for you to witness these things for yourself.
Been there, done that. I was a reborn Christian. I was a neo-pagan spiritualist for years. I've run the gamut. I've been on your course. I'm no longer on that wheel. I figured out how auto-deceptive faith is. I won't have anything to do with it.
Okay, well, faith is meant to be temporary. It's meant to grow and turn into knowledge, and that was kind of one of
because
faith can't turn into knowledge.
No, they're built in totally different things. Faith is believing things that are not evidently true, and knowledge is when you can demonstrate that there's a truth to the things that you believe. So
faith is believing in something for which that hasn't been proven to you yet, and so
believing things that are not evidently true and believing it anyway.
It doesn't mean it's not true. Okay, I can have.
I said
faith.
Not evidently true. Okay. So it's something you don't. I would believe something if I'm compelled to, because even if I don't want to believe it, there's so much evidence that maybe I don't want to believe that my wife is cheating on me. Maybe I want to believe that she's sincere and everything, but so much evidence has built up, the credit card receipts for the motel room, all of these other things, and eventually I got to say, you know what? I don't want to believe this, but the evidence is compelling. I'm forced to accept that this is the thing that's happened. That's not a faith belief. That's an evidence belief. But a faith belief is when you don't have any evidence to support it at all, but you believe it anyway. And you maintain that belief despite all evidence to the contrary. You're going to believe it regardless because you want to.
Okay, that's not what we teach. We say if faith doesn't turn into knowledge, abandon it. that's if you're familiar with the Book of Mormon,
but
and
you're also a flat earther, and you believe that stars are a hoax. So what you're telling me now disproves what you just said.
If anything, the flat earth, the fact that the earth is flat,
is not flat, and we can prove that immediately.
I greatly disagree.
Okay? I know that you greatly disagree, but you're welcome to be wrong.
Okay.
You've built a life out of being wrong, where you think that if you believe something hard enough, it becomes true, but it doesn't, and we can prove that as well. I can disprove your flat earth in a moment. It's easy to do. But that's
We can
All right,
see
well,
too far.
Before
Okay.
before this debate switches gears and becomes a
Yep.
flat Earth debate, that's our 60-minute discussion
Okay.
already.
I would love to come back and talk to you about the flat Earth. I've been itching
you're
for a
welcome
flat
to
Earth
lose
debate.
that debate in a moment.
Okay.
Well, right now the chat has got some great support for both of you. They're all real happy. The energy here is fantastic. It's great. Before we get into the super chats, I'll give everyone a chance to get some more super chats in. I will remind you all once again, if you're in the Dallas area on November 4th and 5th, DebateCon 4 is going live on stage. You can get your tickets in the link in the description below. You can meet James in person. You can meet Ryan in person. You can meet Aron Ra in person, and all of your other. You hate that guy? I have a feeling, Aron. There's a few people who bought tickets just for you. I have no doubt in my mind.
What I have no doubt in my mind.
What's that?
That everybody in my family who identifies as Mormon would listen to Kyle and say, we don't believe that. Every one of them.
You can say that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna keep going with
Anybody
my
watching
housekeeping
this
here.
video? Anybody watching this video after it's aired? Share it with the Mormons that you know, and see and just comment whether they agree with Kyle. If they are Mormon, do they agree with Kyle, or would they say that no, Mormons believe differently than Kyle says?
Okay, it's
All
right.
right.
There in the Bible, and that's what I point you to.
Doesn't matter, because
So with that, guys,
Christians in general and Mormons specifically will ignore what's in the Bible when it's inconvenient.
I have some more announcements real quick. We'll get into some super chats super fast. Don't forget to hit that like button. At some point, I missed it, but we hit 127,000 subscribers. Considering we hit 126 just a few days ago, that's awesome. So I want to thank anyone who hit that subscribe button today. Anyone who hasn't hit it yet, it's right there. It's not hard. Just reach over, click it, and while you're over there, click that like button. All right. We're gonna get into the super chats now. So we still have time for those, and I got room for lots more. So don't be shy. The first question is for both. I assume Aron can hear me, so I'll read it. And Kyle, you can answer first, okay? If someone measures a fever of 107 or over with their child, should they kneel and pray or call 911? So go ahead, Kyle, you answer first.
Instantly pray. Yeah.
Yeah, put him in
Instantly
an ice
pray.
bath while calling 911. Ice bath first. Praying won't do anything.
Okay, well, I've got firsthand experience against that. So,
And I've got data that contradicts you, and my data outweighs your firsthand experience.
I disagree. That's you're relying
You're
on the
welcome to
secondhand
disagree all you want
experience.
to, but you're still wrong.
Okay, you've got secondhand experiences. That's your data.
I have
Secondhand
firsthand experiences and data that both contradict you, and you're still wrong.
Okay.
Okay. By the way, that was from Ozen Talks for $5. Now I've got Taz Strader for $20. This one's for Kyle. How could the book of John be written by John? The letter J did not exist at the time Jesus supposedly existed. Also, do you actually believe Jesus happened across disciples with Latin names?
All right. So the Bible wasn't originally written in English, and when it got translated into English, a lot of those names also got kind of turned into words that we can pronounce, and they were changed. And so, yeah, just like with we see this frequently going from one language to another. And so if you were to read the Spanish Bible, okay, it's going to describe the book of James as Santiago. That's James in Spanish, Santiago, which sounds completely different than our English James.
Okay, good answer. Thank you, sir. We've got another one here from Ozen Talks for $5. Not really directed at anyone. However, I believe it might be Kyle. If you are going to base your entire worldview based on some supposedly historical source. Why would you study the historicity of that foundation?
Well, it's kind of what we go into testing, and so we want to ask questions about it, and so we study these things, and we go out and pray about these things and try to find our personal experiences.
Which don't matter, because what you've got is you make a claim.
I'm in the middle of debate.
You make a claim that Jewish people are actually the descendants of, or excuse me, that Native Americans are actually the descendants of Jewish people. It's
a claim that is a lot bigger than we claim it to be. Okay. Some is not all.
How would you test that?
Some is not all.
How would you test that?
How do I test that?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of different people out there go out and do archaeological work and look for things, and we are making all kinds of discoveries all the time.
You don't have anything that supports that claim.
I don't think I have a lot of things that support that claim.
No, you don't. Did you see a video that I produced with your name in it from about a month ago called Show Your Evidence, Kyle?
No, I did not.
You were in a debate with Bryce Blankenangel where you made the claim that there was archaeological evidence of North American cities, Native American cities of 7 million people. There is no such data. You made the claim that it exists.
Okay.
He told you to produce the evidence for that. And because all you have is personal experience, then you don't have that data. You said it was out there. You just said you've got archaeological claims all the time that support you, but no, you don't. You can't show that claim, for example.
You saw my example of putting the blood on the door frame, right? Did you not see that one?
Support a North American, Native American city of 7 million people?
We haven't discovered every single Native American thing. There's continual research.
7 million people?
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of...
You realize that we found cities of much, much, much smaller, right? Have you been to Chichen Itza?
I have not been to Chichen Itza.
It's a tiny little city.
Mm-hmm.
Comparatively.
And how much of the Native American settlements have we really discovered?
If we can find Chichen Itza in a jungle where things are not preserved very well, then certainly in North America, which is not a natural rainforest situation, then we ought to be able to find these cities. 7 million people. You claimed the data was out there. It is not out there.
Okay.
Another way you would test for it is through genetics. Again, Mormons come up butt kiss. Nothing ever supports the Mormon position. There is no Jewish heredity in any Native American tribe, period. None.
That's you're speaking on behalf of everyone when you have no authority to speak on behalf of everyone.
I don't need authority.
You haven't gone out and specifically tested every single...
authority. The authority is not the issue.
You have no experience. You're just
talking
saying
science
things,
now. We're talking science now, and there are no authorities
that you have not verified for yourself.
We have verified this.
Saying this is so.
We have verified
you
this.
have not personally verified this.
Yes, I have.
You don't need to yell
there
at me.
Is
you
not
don't need to yell at
any.
me. Just let me talk.
Yes, I have verified this. There is not any. There is not any Jewish heredity in any genetic test ever performed on Native Americans. No, there isn't.
That's a really, really big phrase that would require you to go out and individually genetically test every single Native American ever in the entire United States.
But all I have to say, I didn't have to say that. All I had to say is that there's no Jewish heredity found in any Native American people in any of the tests.
You've never tested. No one has ever tested that.
Have never supported Jewish immigration. Never.
Okay, your claim is.
You're making a claim. You said
making claims that are too big for your own mouth.
You said that you
could
test it.
All right. I think we're gonna move on from this point here.
Is to do what I just said. You haven't done that. You're pretending as if I haven't done that. Yeah, I have.
Your claim is too big for your mouth.
No, it isn't.
Gentlemen, please.
The fact that data has never been found.
Let him moderate, please.
We have a situation here where we're just pushing back and forth.
This guy's making claims he can't back up, and he's pretending as if I'm the one. You said there was archaeological evidence of a city in North America, Native American pre-Columbian city of 7 million people. No, there is not. If there was, you'd be able to point to the study that verified that, and I would already know about it.
And you
but
have no direct
you
quote
can't.
here. Okay. And this is, what does this have to do with the question again?
You just said that you can test it, right? But you lied. You're not testing.
I didn't
these.
lie. I didn't lie.
You did. You said there's archaeological evidence of a North American, Native American,
No, I
pre-Columbian
didn't.
city of 7 million people. No, there is
That
not.
is not a direct quote whatsoever. Okay, please let him
I have
moderate.
it in
Let
my
him,
video.
let him
Everybody
move on.
can
There's
watch
other
it.
questions to get to.
The video is titled. What was
You can mute him. Okay.
The
that?
video is titled "Is Mormonism True?"
The
Yeah,
video
we'll just.
that I made was called "Show Your Evidence," Kyle. He made a claim
There you
of
go.
evidence he can't back up.
Maybe we can, Kyle can go do some homework on your video, and we'll have you both back, and we'll discuss this further because it
We don't
sounds
need to both be
interesting.
back. If he was able to
Okay.
produce the evidence, then I wouldn't have anything to say about it, and I would also concede publicly that he produced that evidence.
I can
Fair
show you
enough.
all kinds of different evidence, but you just deny it as being evidence.
But
And so,
you-
such
you would-
as
other
the blood on the
people
doorway.
on my side of the fence would say, "Hey, this guy produced evidence. He's got a point. You need to concede that." That's what would end up happening.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that you do that.
So our
Yeah.
next super chat,
But
we've got-
that is what would happen because that's the way
moderator
honest
speaking.
people are.
Aaron, we're just gonna get going to some more now because if we stay here too long, we'll be here all night. So sorry. So we got another super chat here from Disciple Day for $2. They say, "How about just defend the Book of Mormon?"
Okay. Well, defending the Book of Mormon is defending Jesus. It is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Jesus never said anything about horses in the New World. He never said that Native Americans had steel. He didn't say any of that ridiculous, preposterous crap that the Book of
There's
Mormon
different
claims.
experiences.
and that we
It's
know is not
another
true.
testament of Jesus Christ. That is the Book of Mormon. Another testament. That's someone else's experience. And so, yeah, he didn't
Except
talk
it's an
about cars either. But
experience.
I can
It's
talk
a
about
claim
cars. Right?
of experience
I'm talking right
that is
now. okay? I'm
contradicted
talking
by
right
the
now.
data.
Aaron,
There
we'll
were
give
no
Kyle a chance to
horses.
speak a little bit, please.
There were no horses in North America. Pre-Columbian Native Americans did not have horses.
So what? You can, okay.
So the Book of Mormon says they did. And the
Okay,
Book of
so
Mormon
you
says
have
that
not-
tens of
you have
thousands
not-
of people had steel armor.
Okay,
When we
you
know that
have
they
not
didn't.
shuffled. Okay, you have not like sifted through all of America and said, okay,
But
there
if you
are
claim,
okay.
if you claim that
there
is
are no
evidence,
horses that you are aware of. There are no
You
horses
claim
that
that
you are
there
aware of,
is
but that doesn't
evidence,
mean
which
they're-
means
okay,
you can
I'm talking
produce
right
it.
now. Can we just not interrupt each other?
you claim
Okay.
that there is
You are
evidence. That
interrupting
means you can
everything I
produce
say.
it.
Okay?
All I have to
Give
say
me
is
a
that
chance
there's
to
no
speak,
evidence, and the fact that you can't produce it proves me right.
All right.
All right, let's give Kyle a couple seconds here as a final word, and we'll get to the next super chat. Kyle, go ahead.
All right. You like to make a lot of really big claims that are too big for your
If
mouth.
you
okay?
address him,
That was
Kyle,
you.
I'll have to let
You're
him reply
describing
to you.
yourself here. You
Okay.
said there was evidence of these things that there is not evidence for.
All right.
Okay,
Could
go
we,
ahead,
like,
Kyle.
have-
Wrap it up.
Okay.
Aaron
So-
will let you. Just don't address Aaron.
Right.
Tell
To
us your
say-
point.
Okay. I do have evidence that you don't consider evidence, such as the blood on the door frame, and there's other things out there too that I do present as evidence, and I have done that in prior debates.
So the blood on
okay.
the door frame means that there was horses in pre-Columbian America that the Native
I did
Americans
not-
were riding
I
while
did
wearing
not say
steel
that.
armor.
I did not say that.
Okay.
Okay. And so there's
How about where the Book of Mormon makes reference to
please.
books that were written after
I'm pleading
the
with
Book of
you,
Mormon,
Aaron.
after the Book of Mormon was supposed to be written, but written in Semitic culture? How could they have been writing the same thing?
how are they you're going
Never
really fast there. Okay.
All right,
So
just
yeah,
moving
I'm
on.
just saying that
Next
you can't
question.
you haven't okay.
Let's just go on, shall we?
It's
Here's
just
one for
irritating to
you.
me that he's the one making the claims that are too big for his mouth, and then he wants to project that onto me to pretend as if I'm the one that made these claims, as if I'm the one that said that there was evidence of these things that there is not evidence for.
Okay, so I'm just saying that you're talking about horses in America, and just because you're not aware of any fossils of horses in America doesn't mean they don't
I am
exist.
aware of
We're
fossils of
still
horses in
finding
America.
fossils today.
I understand evolution. There were horses in America once upon a time, but they were not available for Native Americans to ride because they were extinct in North America by then.
As far as you are aware, Okay, but we
The
are
horses that
still
people could
finding
ride,
new archaeological evidence
the horses
every
that
day.
people could ride
Okay?
evolved
So
in
much of
Asia.
Native American history has not been discovered yet when it comes to
But
archaeology.
I'm not
And so
claiming
Chichen Itza is a
that there's-
very, like, I'm not even sure if that's even 10% of all of the covered ruins that have yet to be discovered. And so one of these days we could find, oh, look at this. We found some archaeological ruins with some paintings of people riding horses and that are fitting that. Okay, we're finding new discoveries all the time. And so just because the Book of Mormon says that there are horses in America and you are not aware of any horses in America doesn't mean we can't discover evidence of this later on. Okay, and so when an anachronism, what you claim to be an anachronism, doesn't turn out to be an anachronism, it ends up being stronger evidence.
Anachronism.
Yes, anachronism. Okay, it ends up being stronger evidence for the Book of Mormon when, such as cement. And that used to be a huge thing. Oh, well, there was no Native Americans didn't work with cement. And then all of a sudden it wasn't an anachronism. People just didn't know yet. And so when
you're not saying that there might be evidence that we don't know about yet. You're saying you already know about evidence that we don't know about yet. You're claiming there is evidence of pre-Columbian Native American cities in North America of 7 million people. You said that evidence exists, that we know about it. You're not saying that it hasn't been discovered. You're saying that it has been discovered.
When did I say that?
It hasn't.
Okay. Evidence is defined as a reason to believe in something. Okay. There are a lot of different reasons to believe in this. Okay. And so just because you don't see it as a reason to believe in it doesn't mean I don't see it as a reason to believe in it.
Evidence is a body of facts. Is the simplest definition is a fact that indicates, and a fact is objectively verifiable data. So you have to show something we can both show to be true that is indicative of your position. You don't have that.
There's convicting evidence and then there's non-convicting evidence. Okay,
which is both of them are factual.
A reason
and you
to
don't
believe
have
in something.
Fact to support that.
So kind of like my daughter's head felt warm. Okay, that is evidence that she might have a fever. Okay, it's a big might that she might, because I might just have cold hands or something like that, right? And so there are different things that we kind of use to work towards that convicting evidence.
All right, Let's just get to the next super chat. That's a good place to stop right there. The next one is from Fact Junior Roll for $5. Says Kyle Adams is always a treat. That's it. Just there like that. And the one right after that, Chris G, $4.99 for both of you. If Mormonism is true, the Catholic Church is false, right? Book of Mormon calls the Catholic Church the whore of Babylon. No?
Well, so long as we're both saying the same thing, we're gonna
So
we're
the
both saying
Catholics
that Jesus is the
that their
Christ.
church is the whore of Babylon. The Catholic Church is saying that the Mormon Church is true and that Catholicism is false.
Okay, we both believe in Jesus Christ, and so if we're both saying the same thing, I'm not going to be saying that they're false if I'm saying the same thing.
But the Book of Mormon says that the Catholic religion is false.
Okay, we both believe in Jesus, and so we're not.
And Mormon,
if they're saying Jesus is true, and I'm saying Jesus is true, I'm definitely not saying that they are false.
Okay, and so the Book of Mormon is saying that Catholicism is false.
That is one interpretation of it, but you tell me where it said where you tell me where it said Catholicism.
The implication is Catholicism because never mind.
Okay, so you tell me where it says Catholicism, and then we'll talk.
Again, that would be scholarly interpretation, and I can't speak to that.
Okay.
So Ozen talks again, $5. Aron, Kyle believes the Earth is an infinite plane with infinite firmament, one for each of them. So he refuses to say planet, but he believes.
I didn't say infinite plane at any time. I'm not one of those.
You can't have an infinite. You can't have an infinite plane and a firmament. That's a contradiction.
Yeah, he's misquoting me. I never said anything about infinite plane. There are many flat earthers out there who do believe in an infinite plane, but I'm one that believes in the firmament.
Okay.
He's a straight up reality denialist.
So Jay Mule for $1.99 has a super chat I choose to skip. Emery King for $5. Kyle, besides personal experience, do you have any way to determine truth? Arn, can you give a fun fact about snakes?
I am not going to talk about snakes tonight.
All right. So then that just leaves Kyle. Besides personal experience, do you have any way to determine truth?
There is no other way to determine truth except for personal experience. And so,
Then why did you
my
agree
cat
to a
eats
debate?
food. What?
Why did you agree to this debate when there's no way to win it?
There is a way to win it, and that's
You don't
through
have anything
gaining
besides personal
experience.
experience. You just admitted that.
Firsthand
Thus, there's
experience.
no way.
That's how we determine truth.
You already said in your opening statement that we're not supposed to trust anybody else's experience, and yet you want the audience to trust your experience. When
By
they
gaining
already
their
have
own
experiences
personal
that
experiences.
their religion is true, or that no religion is true. So you
Okay.
don't have anything to argue with.
I greatly disagree. So
Again, you're greatly wrong.
okay, and you're entitled to believe what you want to believe. I am not going to
But
penalize
it's
you
not
for
a belief.
disagreeing with me.
This is something that's demonstrably fact.
All right, I'm not going to penalize you like the public school system for disagreeing with me. Okay, the public school
'cause I'm
system
right.
will penalize you for disagreeing with them. And dock your grade.
when we can prove that you're wrong.
Okay, they don't do that. They just
Yeah,
say
but-
this
yeah,
is
they
so. This is so. You must believe me, otherwise we're going to dock your grade.
Doesn't matter. I can still prove you're wrong.
Okay, I'm
All
glad
right,
you believe
so-
science proves things. That's huge thing.
I'm using a different context than science. I'm going to talk about an overwhelming preponderance of evidence beyond reasonable doubt. I'm using,
And that's not
biblical
science.
definition.
Okay. So
Yeah,
The
I
super
can
chats are
show you the
pouring in
evidence
now.
that will compel belief, regardless.
okay. So you.
So we
just
got-
You
said-
cannot,
I don't know.
which is why you shouldn't
Our
agree to a
next-
debate.
Our next super chat is from Vinny K for $2, asking Kyle to give one of his first-hand experiences.
One of my firsthand experiences. I've talked about this with Ozian before about just witnessing answering or an answer to personal prayers. And so, yeah, Ozian over there, he specifically brought up the fever of 107. That was my daughter not too long ago, where she had a fever of 107. And she was healed from that, from a personal prayer. And so, when that fever like immediately dropped, there was no need to take her to a doctor or anything like that, because it dropped. The prayer was answered.
Okay. So Big Thang Flying Wayne, $2, comments, testimony is the lowest form of supernat evidence.
Yep.
Well, there's secondhand witnesses and firsthand accounts, and firsthand accounts always trump secondhand accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, but data can actually trump that. So the fact that Joseph Smith fraudulently mistranslated or made up a translation of Egyptian that was not even anything close to the actual translation, that he did that fraudulently, is evidence against Mormonism being true. You understand that, right?
Okay, you're going and saying that this is false, and that's kind of your whole statement.
Okay,
there.
we're going to list the facts and evidence. The fact that Joseph Smith presented a fraudulent document that was shown to be false, that is not translated the way he said it was, that is a fact and evidence against Mormonism being true. Do you understand?
Well, I
that?
disagree with that.
Do you not know what facts and evidence mean?
Okay, I don't believe that is a fact. Okay, you claiming it a fact.
Don't believe that is a fact. So you think
You claiming it
that
a fact doesn't make it so.
You think that there are Egyptologists who can show that Joseph Smith translated the Book of Abraham correctly from the papyri and such that he was sent by that Egyptologist that I mentioned before.
It wasn't a word for word translation. No one ever claimed that.
It wasn't a word for word. How
Okay.
sparse was it?
Okay.
Was
This
there
is he looked at it.
any accuracy to his translation whatsoever at all?
Okay, he looked at these things and then he wrote the impressions that he got, and so that's what he did.
Okay,
It's
so
something. It's an act of revelation.
do you accept the fact that no Egyptologist supports this and that they can show how none of it was translated correctly? None of it.
Yeah, I don't speak on behalf of everyone like you claim to do. I am not.
I'm not
I'm
speaking
not
on behalf
omnipotent.
of everyone.
Yes, you are. Do you?
No, I'm not.
I don't speak on behalf of all Egyptologists. When anytime you say
Can you
all
show
or any
one?
and never, those are big
Can
absolute
you show me
words.
one Egyptologist who agrees with Joseph Smith's translation?
I don't know any Egyptologists.
There's not even one. You can't show even one.
I don't know
I
any.
can show a list of people who object to it. You can't show one who supports it. Does that stand as a fact in evidence against Mormonism?
Yeah, I don't know anyone, and so that's kind of.
So you have no foundation. It's all about belief. It's all about personal experience. It's all about your opinion. You can't distinguish Mormonism from any other faith. You don't want to diss any other faith. All you want to do is argue about Christianity. You can't show that there's any genetic data. There isn't any. You want to say that, well, we haven't found it yet, but it's out there hidden somewhere. But that's not
look
what
at all
I
these
said.
big absolute claims that are too big for your mouth. There isn't anyone that's speaking on behalf of
all the studies that have been done for human
all the
ancestry,
studies that
everybody,
you are
every
aware
population so far, there has not been one that shows Jewish ancestry in Native American people.
As
if
far
you want
as
to
you
argue
are
that
aware.
there's evidence that if you want to argue evidence for Mormonism, you should point to the genetic evidence for Jewish ancestry among Native American people. But thus far, no one has found any. Can you at least,
as far as you are aware, is the key term that you continually
and I
leave out.
would know if they had, but you can't show that there's any data at all to support your claim there. None.
Okay. Yeah, you're just, as far as you are aware, that's what you're.
As far as you were aware, is there any data at all that supports your position?
I have heard of that. I have heard of studies out there that
study
did find this. I cannot off the top of my head.
Can you, given time to do it later, can you go Google it and find a peer-reviewed study where there is?
Perhaps I've heard that there are parts of the Cherokee. I've heard there are parts of the Cherokee tribe.
You've heard. Oh, that's got to be convincing.
So that's kind of
that kind of contradicts your original opening statement, doesn't it? About personal experience. You don't trust somebody else's personal experience, but now it becomes what you've heard.
Well, yeah, I'm going to
show me your evidence, Kyle.
I'm going to trust my own study. If I were to go out there and personally DNA test them myself, then I'm going to trust that more than I'm going to trust someone else's, because that's something I've experienced and tested for myself. Because other people out there can fudge the results, and I
didn't realize you did genetic studies yourself.
If I did, I could. Yeah, anyone can do.
So
genetic studies if you learn.
When you claim that there is archaeological evidence, when you claim that there is genetic evidence, then you are claiming that there is peer-reviewed studies you can now source, you can link for me, that you can cite for me, and I can go look these up and read them, and even test their results to some degree. That's what you're saying. But there, in fact, every time you've said that this evidence exists, there is, as yet, so far as we know, no evidence to support you at all. There's not one study from anybody, any study anywhere, either for the city of 7 million people or for the Jewish ancestry of any tribe of Native Americans, for steel and the armor, or the steel armor on the battlefield, for horses that Native Americans are riding. None of that. There's not a scrap of evidence for any of it that you can point to. Is that correct?
That you are aware of. I can say that.
That you are aware of. You claimed it. You claimed several times that there is such. We've been finding this evidence all the time, but you can't show any of it, can you?
You don't need to yell at me, Kate. Relax.
I don't like liars. You said you.
So we're running in circles again. We're back at that other question again. So I'd like to
find all this evidence all the time. Then you could point to it, and you can't.
Relax. Okay.
So, lost my spot. Here we go. Delano Jones, I hope I said that right, $5. Do you know what a heretic is? How would you be able to show your belief is true from a false prophet or liar?
I am aware of a heretic, and so that was kind of one of my big claims I did a video about how the globe Earth is heresy, and because it's contrary to what the Bible teaches.
On that, we will agree. The Bible is wrong because it preaches a flat Earth, and we can prove that that's not true.
I would love to get into a flat Earth debate with you at another time. So
I would love to be
if you
there
do
for
this
it.
badly on this debate, it would be difficult to see us ever doing another one.
So Forrest Clay for $4.99. Bruce R. McConkie said the Catholic Church was the whore of Babylon in Mormon doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's telling you this, Kyle.
Well, if we're both saying the same thing and Catholics aren't saying that about themselves, then you're not both saying the same thing.
I don't deny that there are many people out there who believe that, and that's how they interpret it.
Okay.
But the Book of Mormon itself doesn't specifically say that. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. So Ozen Talks with another $5. Looking at you, Kyle. You claimed there were infinite gods, infinite humans, and an infinite flat plane in our debate. Anyone can fact check it.
Okay, I look forward to a timestamp on that where I specifically said infinite flat plane.
All right. Well, it sounds like there's a round 2 in the works there. Maybe we got Borp for $5. It's all capitals. Maybe it's just BORP, but anyways, $5. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. How do justify this, knowing the Mormon doctrine states you can become a god?
Okay, it's not can become. It is you are, just as Jesus taught. Ye are gods. Okay, and before God there was no, because our Heavenly Father has always existed. He is an infinite being. There is no before infinity.
Okay. Martingale, $10 for Kyle. I'm a Native American from Central America, in brackets, Mayan. We weren't Mormon before Columbus. Christianity was forced onto us by the Spaniards. You're just spewing neo-colonists' talking points.
Okay, well, he has a different belief than I do. I look at the evidence of the blood on the doorways, and that was, as far as I'm aware of, that wasn't put there by Cortez and his group.
If you can't define what a god is as distinguished from what is not a god, to tell who or what is a god versus what or who or what isn't a god, then it's meaningless to say that we are gods. The word has to mean something.
Yeah, I agree. And we had this discussion earlier about how I don't believe your dog is a god.
But you can't give
it's
a reason
totally different
why.
Species. Why? Well, yeah, it's different species. That is why.
But it isn't.
All right.
You were claiming that you are the same species as a dog. Okay, let's go on.
No, I'm not saying that, even remotely.
It sounds like it. You said that.
I asked you, so God is any white guy?
Okay,
and you didn't answer that one.
I said that's not what I said. And so the being human is being
and where does it specify that that's what a god is? Where does any doctrine specify that that's what a god is?
Okay, it's ye are the offspring of God is a huge thing. What
distinguishes gods from, reverse the letters, dogs?
Okay, mankind being humans don't have offspring of dogs. Okay, dogs are not the offspring of man.
So Homo erectus are gods?
So being human is being having the image of God.
That includes Homo erectus?
Homo erectus.
Yeah.
As far as I don't know. What are you talking about? I'm not familiar enough with Homo erectus.
Well, we have to have some kind of discernment about what is a god, what isn't a god. And you're saying arbitrarily that we are the same species, but I don't think you even understand what species means. I mean, most creationists will accept that speciation happens. So when you have one original parent species that then becomes two or more daughter species, Did they suddenly, one of them become gods? Did one of them stop being gods? We have to have a meaning of what a god is, and it obviously isn't tied to their species.
Okay, well, I greatly disagree. I think
Of course
God
you
is a
disagree,
species.
but again, for no reason. You can't give a reason.
I did give a reason. So
No,
just
you
because
didn't.
okay,
You
well,
gave an opinion
all right,
that was
well, I
not based
greatly
on
disagree.
reason.
I greatly disagree on that whole matter.
You
So
greatly disagree for no reason. You can't give a reason.
I did give a reason.
I
You just
did
don't-
give a
you're just-
reason. You didn't. You
I
said,
gave a reason.
arbitrarily your opinion. Well, they're different species, but species isn't
it's right there.
implied.
Okay, the authors who use the terms end up defining the term as they use them, and so it's not me.
But
saying,
the
yeah,
same
it's them.
people also argued, like they did in the Valladolid debate in the 16th century, when they were arguing that Native Americans were not actual people, that they were soulless, thoughtless, talking animals and human guys. And they had the Catholic missionaries were having a formal debate over this, over whether Native Americans were human. So if you're going to have a debate like that, well, then if they're going to determine what a human is, we have to have a definition for what a human is in order to determine that. And we have to have a definition of what a god is, since it obviously isn't tied to their species.
Okay, you're just you're kind of feeling like you're saying a bunch of stuff through a blender right now.
All right. Well, then,
I'm sure
on
from
that
your
point,
perspective,
let's
it
just
sounds that
go to
way,
the
and
next
that's why I
question
pity
then.
you.
So this next question, I'm going to apologize in advance for the person's names, or the person's name. Edef Heku. Sorry, it's a hard one for me there, but they give $5 super chat to ask, do you agree with the previous mainstream interpretation of the Book of Mormon that black people are born black as a curse for their sin?
I don't believe black people are born black because of a curse.
Awesome. From Hate Stairs, $5. Kyle, do you know what a meta-analysis is and why they are important?
A meta-analysis. That's not part of my vocabulary at this time.
Okay. Martingale again, another $10. This one for Kyle again. There's no archaeological evidence that shows that any religion except our own had any influence in the construction of our temples. Those who were our accomplishments, not yours. Those were our accomplishments, not yours.
I don't know what he's talking about. Our own, who's our? I'm very confused. He didn't give enough background context.
Martingale earlier declared that they were a Native American.
Okay. I didn't claim that. Yeah, I didn't claim that what he was saying was mine. I never claimed ownership of his temples.
Okay.
Has anyone, let me just ask this point blank, because I don't want you to twist it into something else that I didn't say. Has anyone ever found genetic data implying a Jewish or Semitic ancestry for any tribe of Native Americans ever?
Okay. I can't point you to any specific studies at this time.
So you can't say that there's any evidence to support. There's no genetic evidence that you know of that supports that. Can you make that admission?
No, because I've heard of it. And so, but I can't point you to any specific studies.
So you're contradicting the answer you just gave.
That's
so
not contradicting
now you've reversed your answer. So saying that you've heard.
Or this has nothing to do with his question
evidence.
either. Okay.
So you've heard that there is that evidence.
There is evidence. I've heard of evidence, but I haven't really gone out and researched it for myself.
Well, I think it's time to go out and research that. And I want to do a follow-up on this where I'm going to give you a month, and then I'm going to come up and I'm going to look at your channel, and I'm going to make a subsequent follow-up video to show whether you ever coughed up any of this evidence, and would you admit it, that you couldn't find any genetic data at all to support a Semitic ancestry for any tribe of Native Americans, North or South America, neither one.
Okay.
Okay.
And if I don't find it in a month, yeah.
And then also, archaeological evidence that you claimed already existed for 7 million people, pre-Columbian Native Americans, North America.
Okay, I didn't claim that.
I recorded it in the debate with Bryce. It's in the video. You want to see the exact verbatim quote. It was "Show your evidence, Kyle." You can see it on my channel, 15,000 views a month ago.
Okay, yeah, I've never claimed. Yeah, there are different evidence of people living.
I don't just quote you. I play the recording.
Oh, great! I'm glad. And so I'll look it up. I'll try and find your channel and look it up. And if you wanted to, you could play it here, and I can give the context to it.
Well,
Yeah,
we're coming up on time now. I don't think we're not gonna. I want to entertain it, but we're not gonna. Okay. We got a couple more here to go. Experiments and prebiotic chemistry. That's the questioner's name. $5. If mind-body dualism is false, then none of the major religions are true. Please comment, Aron.
That's true. There's no support for mind-body dualism, neither in neuroscience nor even in philosophy. We know that all the major stories in the Bible did not happen. Adam and Eve didn't happen. The Tower of Babel didn't happen. The Exodus didn't happen. The global flood didn't happen. We know and can show and can prove that none of these things happened as described, and they're not even possible. His position was that Mormonism could only be true if Christianity was true. Christianity is not true because Christianity would depend based on a literal interpretation of the Bible, which here in the United States, that is the common term. But we know that the basis, the foundation for Western Trinitarian fundamentalist Christianity is, biblical literalism. And we know that these stories are false. We know that. We can prove it.
I'm glad you believe science proves things. Again,
using the methods, the legal terms and definitions that I just gave you earlier.
Okay, it's still a heads up better claim than a lot of the people I've gone up against in the past. So yeah, I applaud you for at least
given it. If we were in a court case, I would win that court case. I'm not saying scientific proof, because science only considers proof to be in mathematics, but in a legal proceeding, now we can resort to an overwhelming preponderance of evidence beyond reasonable doubt. Then we can do that. And that's what I'm talking about doing. That's what we're doing with the debate. Science debates are not done this way. Where we do a live presentation. No, you would submit your data, you would submit the supportive evidence, and if you can't do that, then the response would be, you failed to show that there is a support, that there is a foundation for your belief system. You just said it's subjective impressions. That doesn't count. That's really honestly what the response would be. You were unable to cite any archaeological evidence. You were unable to cite any genetic evidence. You were unable to reconcile any of the contradictions, any of the facts and evidence that Joseph Smith was convicted of fraud, that he failed to, that he falsely translated a book that we know was done falsely. You're just ignoring all the evidence against you, but that doesn't work in a scientific debate, which would not be done live. It'd be done in writing.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I greatly disagree with you, but go ahead.
Okay.
Again, it doesn't matter. When you say you greatly disagree, it means you're wrong and you don't care.
Okay. So last question. Lord, it's probing time 666 spends $6.66 to say, Kyle, have you actually tried asking an actual physicist about star formation rather than an engineer?
I've gone and talked to, I've been reaching out to everyone. Trust me. And I'm still continually doing that. I've been doing a lot of interviews over at the local college to me, and I'm branching out as far as I can, talking about star formation, about how gas doesn't clump together in a vacuum, as NASA claims it does.
Yeah, but of course, we're also talking about massive, supermassive gravity, and we're also talking about plasma.
That gravity has to come from somewhere.
Which is a fourth state of matter, literally not gas.
And that gravity has to come from somewhere. So stars clumping together are caused by gravity, which comes from stars clumping, gas clumping together. That's circular reasoning.
Every hydrogen atom has its own gravity, right?
Every hydrogen atom has its own gravity.
Right.
Yeah. And so Okay. Therefore, gas should clump together in a vacuum on Earth, but that's not what we
We're
observe.
talking about plasma, which is a fourth state of matter, literally not gas.
Okay. And so you're saying if you were to put plasma into a vacuum, it's going to clump together on Earth?
We're not even talking about a vacuum because there is no pure vacuum.
Okay. And so, yeah, our
things
our
we could
vacuum
discuss
chambers.
at another time.
Okay.
If I ever feel like I would love to try to reason with you, but I don't know I don't know how I could do that in a real time communication like this that wouldn't seem abusive.
Yeah, well, yeah, you've already been yelling at me quite a bit as it is. So
I
yelling
don't
isn't
suffer
abuse.
fools well, and you've been profoundly foolish.
Okay, and that right there is more abuse. So there we go.
Is it?
Well,
statement of fact.
let's just stop there.
You've made claims.
We have no
you
super
cannot
chats
back up.
left.
Claims.
More abuse.
So I'm just gonna mute that chat there, so that I can make some closing remark. Once again, anyone who lives in the Dallas area, planning to move to the Dallas area, or is just wants somewhere nice to go in the month of November 4th and 5th, get your tickets for the live event on stage where Aron Ra will also be in attendance. Also, your favorite moderator, James, will be there as well, as many other debaters will be there too. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out here. I felt this would be a fairly electric debate early, and I feel like it was. The audience was very intrigued, and the chat was moving like a train tonight. So have a great night, the both of you. Aron, have fun on November 4th and 5th.
I'm sure I
if
will.
anyone has anything to say before they walk out.
Yeah, my channel was deleted by YouTube and I had to restart it. And so you can now find me at just type in Kyle Adams abolish NASA and you'll find me. So that's the way to find me now.
All right. So that's how you find Kyle now. I believe we'll get that updated in the comments down below at a later time. There just wasn't time before the debate today. So I'll let these two gentlemen go. Modern Day Debate, guys, I'll come right back in just a few minutes and I'll give you guys some updates and I'll talk to you guys for the first time ever. So just bear with me. I shall return. I believe we're clear. Okay. Yeah, Kyle and Aaron were having a nice little discussion there. So, but I'm back now, and I thought I would just talk a little bit more about DebateCon coming up real fast here in Texas. So if you're in the Texas area, Dallas more specifically, grab your tickets now. It helps support the channel. It also helps support the live debates themselves. So if you're at all interested in checking out these same topics that you guys see all the time, grab your tickets. But if you can't make it, that's okay. I'm doing something right now. I'm going into the description section right now. I'm hitting on that Indiegogo campaign, and I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to do my part to support DebateCon 4 in Dallas, Texas through the Indigo campaign. So if you can't make it, but you want everyone there to have a great time, and these debates will be available live 100% for free on YouTube. So supporting the live debate is still good because there's a lot of extra technology that gets involved, a lot of extra setup that goes down. Yeah, so for anyone here who was wondering where James is, if you guys don't know, this man is so incredibly busy all the time. Let me tell you. He's not only organizing these debates for people like me to come in and moderate, he's also organizing DebateCon. He's also writing a dissertation to get his doctorate. So, yeah, if you could imagine the amount of work that goes into his day-to-day, on top of that, the lifting, right? You've all noticed James is pretty swole, right? That doesn't come naturally. Doesn't James feed everyone with his Subway tattoo? Does James have a Subway tattoo? I did not know that about James. Okay, that's pretty funny. Anyways, how many people here we got from Texas right now? How many people in Texas? I mean, I know Texas is a pretty big place. I've never been to Texas myself, so I couldn't tell you how far away Dallas is from any one place in Texas. But I asked the question. Okay. Anyways, yeah, thanks a lot, everyone, for coming out. I hope you had a good time. I'd like to see a couple more likes in there if we can get them. If you haven't hit like yet, go ahead, hit like. If you're not subscribed, make sure you take the time to subscribe right now. At some point, we just got another 1,000 subscribers in like less than a week. So that was pretty cool. Let's see if we can speed that up because the DebateCon 4 is coming up fast, and we want to see as many faces there as possible. James will be there. Ryan also going to be there. So if you guys want to shake hands with Ryan, he'll be there sharing his likeness with all of you. And again, if you can't make it, just go on to the Indiegogo and give a few bucks. Christopher Fisher says, I'm gish galloping. All right, then I'm out. That's it. We won't go on anymore. I'm just really trying to push because we want to keep doing debate cons. And for them to keep getting done, we need to support that and fund that. So I'll stop gish galloping and I'll get out of your hair. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. See you all again next time on Modern Day Debate.